Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are tackling a huge question, one that's probably on your mind a lot lately. How do we not just get by, but actually thrive in this new age of AI? So let's just dive right in and see what someone like Tony Robbins thinks is just around the corner. Okay, 3 to 10 years, just let that sink in for a second. That's the window he's giving for a massive society-level shift. And he's quick to point out there's absolutely no guarantee this is going to be a smooth ride. This isn't some far-off sci-fi plot we're talking about. It's happening. It's knocking on our door, like right now. So, here we are. We're all facing this enormous challenge together. It kind of feels like the ground beneath our feet is shifting, right? Everything we thought we knew about work, about our identity, about what it means to be secure, it's all up in the air. And look, it is totally natural to feel a little uncertain, maybe even a bit scared by all of this. But hang on, what if we looked at this a completely different way? What if this massive disruption isn't the end of the world, but actually a call to adventure? In all those classic hero stories, it always starts with something that completely shakes up the hero's normal life. Well, guess what? This is our call. This is your call. So the big question is, how are you going to answer it? First, we've got to get a handle on the fear. All right, so let's really get into the weeds here. Why does a change this big feel so unsettling? I mean, deep down. Well, the answer is all about our own psychology, and frankly, a huge misunderstanding about where our stability actually comes from. Most of us think our sense of certainty comes from the outside world, right? Our job, our paycheck, our status. But here's the kicker that Tony Robbins talks about. That's a total illusion. He says we've only ever rented that certainty. Think about it. A pandemic, a recession, some new piece of tech, any of those things can pull the rug out from under us in a heartbeat. That external stability, it was never as solid as we thought it was. So what's going on inside our heads? Well, it turns out our brains are basically prediction machines. They're constantly running simulations, trying to guess what's going to happen next. It's a survival thing. But when reality suddenly takes a sharp left turn and doesn't match our brain's prediction, like when a new technology threatens to change everything, that's when our brain hits the panic button. We get flooded with stress, fear, all of it. So here's the big takeaway. If you can't rely on the world outside to be stable, where do you get that stability? The answer is, you have to build it inside yourself. The real goal here is to develop a rock-solid sense of internal certainty, a kind of resilience and resourcefulness that just doesn't care what's happening outside. Okay, so how do we actually do that? How do we build that inner certainty? Well, it all starts with a huge shift in how you see yourself and your life. It's about moving from being a passive manager of your life to being the active creator of it. I mean, just look at the difference here. On one side, you've got the manager. They're stressed out, always reacting to what life throws at them, feeling like they're being controlled by events. But then look at the other side, the creator. They feel empowered. They're not just reacting, they are creating their life. They're taking charge and shaping their own outcomes. It's really the difference between being a pawn on the chessboard and being the player moving the pieces. And this right here is the absolute core of it. It's about building an identity for yourself that is just built on pure resourcefulness. It's not about thinking, gosh, I hope things work out. No, it's about knowing, deep in your bones, I'm the kind of person that always finds a way. When that becomes who you are, all the chaos outside, it just loses its power over you. You become your own source of stability. Okay, so we've got the mindset shift down. That's the foundation. But now, let's get practical. What are the actual skills you need to have in your toolkit for this new era? And this is such a critical point, so let's be really clear. You're not going to be replaced by AI. You're going to be replaced by another person who knows how to use AI. See the difference? AI isn't the enemy here. It's an incredibly powerful tool. The real danger isn't the tech itself. It's getting left behind by the people who learn how to master it. So what are these core skills we're talking about? Well, it's really a three-step process. First up is pattern recognition. This is just about learning to see what's going on. The patterns in business, in tech, in finance. Just doing this gets rid of a ton of fear because you're no longer in the dark. Next, you move up to pattern utilization. This is where you start using those patterns you've recognized to build some power, to create influence. And then the highest level of all, pattern creation. This is where you're not just playing the game, you're inventing new games. You're bringing totally new value to the world, and that's how you become truly irreplaceable. But there's a much deeper question lurking under all of this. If our jobs, our careers get totally shaken up, what happens to our sense of self, to our identity, to our feeling of self-worth?
I mean, for something like 4,000 years, our identity has been completely tied to our work. What you do is who you are. So what happens when maybe we don't have to work in the same way anymore? If that link breaks, what are we left with? Where does the meaning come from then?
Well, the answer, according to Tonny Robbins, lies in understanding what really drives us as human beings. It's not actually our job title. It's these 6 fundamental human needs: certainty, uncertainty or variety, significance, connection and love, growth, and contribution. Everything we do, every single day, is an attempt to meet these core needs. And it's really interesting how these are split up. Those first 4, certainty, variety, significance, and connection, those are what he calls the needs of the personality. They're kind of about survival and just feeling good. But the last 2, growth and contribution, those are different. Those are the needs of the spirit. And that's where true, lasting fulfillment really comes from. And this is where it all comes together. You could say that this whole AI disruption is actually a kind of spiritual wake-up call. It's forcing us to evolve, to move our focus from the external to the internal. It's pushing us beyond just survival and asking us to find our meaning in something deeper, in our own growth and in what we contribute to others. It's a call to find a bigger purpose.
So let's bring this all back to where we started, with that hero's journey. You've heard the call to adventure, you're facing the challenge, you're building new skills and forging a new identity. So what's the reward at the end of all that?
Well, the prize you get for taking on this journey is so much more than just surviving. First, you find out just how strong you really are, stronger than you ever imagined. Second, you discover who your real friends are, the people who are truly in your corner. And third, you gain this incredible resilience, almost like an immunity to future problems. You don't just get through it, you become more than you were before.
So it all comes down to this. The AI disruption is here. The world is changing, no doubt about it. But remember, it's not just a threat to be afraid of. It's a call to adventure. And the choice isn't whether or not the call comes, it's already here. The only choice left is how you're going to answer it. So what's it going to be? Are you going to be a manager of your circumstances or the creator of your future?